Hello and welcome. I'm your host, William Liu. I'm joined by co-host Alex Wong. You're listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. Raptors are still the team to watch potentially at the trade deadline. Maybe. Can I spin
Oh
you to
yeah?
that? Probably not. No. The team to watch right now, at least of right now, is the San Antonio Spurs, who have found one of and potentially maybe the only sidekick that they need to Victor Wembanyama. We'll talk about that and more as we head to the week of the trade deadline. Obviously, that is going to take place on Thursday. We're going to go live that day as well. We're going to give you more details on that. But what's going on, Alex? What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. 48 hours since the Luka Doncic trade has happened. I'm sure you saw too. He finally landed. The Eagle finally landed in
Mm.
Los Angeles yesterday, greeted by Rob Pelinka on the tarmac. I think this is the
You
new
hit one
rule
of
now.
these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hit him with one of these.
Yeah.
Probably hanging out with Shohei Ohtani right now.
What
Potentially getting
language they
into
speaking, man?
what's a polar bear doing in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Maxi Kleber, got that little private jet too in, flicked up with Rob Pelinka
Mm.
and Luca. And I love how all the comments right away was like, "Yo, Luca doesn't look 270 pounds.
He
He looks
he didn't
ready to
look
roll."
270, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah, this is the
That's
Luca that I've known for years, man.
he looks like a solid 260, man.
Yeah,
Let's let that man be.
not the Luca Weight Watch. Yeah, but Luca has landed, and yeah, that's it, man. Another trade took place last night.
Mm.
De'Aaron Fox, like you mentioned, heading to the San Antonio Spurs in a three-way deal. So the Sacramento Kings get Zach LaVine, reunite the play-in boys, Zach LaVine and DeMar
Oh,
DeRozan back at it. And the Kings also get 3 first-round picks and 3 second-rounders. Actually, it's going to be 2 first-round picks because they're getting a 2025 Charlotte pick that's lottery protected, which turns into 2 second-rounders. So they're basically getting the Spurs 2027 first-rounder, 2031 pick first-rounder from Minnesota, and then I don't know what the Bulls are getting here. Nice little platter of Zach Collins,
mm,
Trey Jones,
mm,
Kevin Herter, and then they get
mm.
their own 2025 pick back from saying, sir, may I please have my first rounder back? So,
Uh,
clear winner in this is the Spurs. They held on to those very coveted Atlanta first rounders that they got in the DeJounte Murray deal, and yeah, I don't know what you think. What you make of this deal?
yeah, I mean, I think for San Antonio, they got Fox without, touching any of their top prospects.
Hmm.
Right? It almost reminds me of the Pascal trade with Indiana, where you don't have to give up your best immediate players, like guys that you already see contributing towards what they're doing this season. Stephon Castle has been really promising for them this year, maybe in contention to win Rookie of the Year, depending on how he finishes the season. They didn't have to give him up. They didn't have to give up Jeremy Sohan, who is a very, very weird player. Obviously, doesn't shoot the ball, one-handed free throws, all that kind of stuff. But does contribute a lot to winning with his athleticism and the ball handling and the athleticism to be able to guard multiple positions. They don't have to give him up. They don't have to touch Devin Vassell either. So it's like, this still sets them up to make another move. Like if they want to get more pieces and attract more players to their program, they can still do it. This might also be, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like this is a bit groundbreaker because very, very rare do you see when a player's under contract and they say basically we're not going to extend, like in the case of Fox here, and they give their list of demands. Has San Antonio ever been the one and only team on that demand?
Yeah, I mean this is pretty unprecedented, but this is the Wemby effect, and it
Yeah.
makes me it makes me really like the Spurs make me really mad in a way where like I really respect them, but they've got Wemby who says all the right things, is super competitive, incredible player on the court. Spurs have been a well-run organization for like couple decades now, and outside of having to trade Kawhi Leonard, like they've been able to pivot from Tim Duncan to Kawhi, and now they have Wemby, and now they have a solid front office who are doing deals like this, bringing in De'Aaron Fox, and like you mentioned, still have all the assets to make moves. Like they're so competent that they kind of piss me off.
Yeah.
Like
You, you,
it's like that guy in class who's just like, getting all the good grades. Teacher loves him. There's like
Yeah.
no criticism. I guess I shouldn't have hated on those type of people.
No, the Spurs are really that Asian kid in your class that is getting proficiency awards across the board, and they lead the music council. You
Yeah,
know what I
I'm
mean?
like, yo, can you guys do something that's a little bit bonehead?
That's
Like,
right.
why? Like, everything is done so well, and your big worry whenever you acquire like a Wemby, a Luca, a LeBron is like, how are you gonna build that team out? And so far, like, they've done it perfectly.
Yeah, they've done a really good job. My question is, is De'Aaron Fox the clear cut um, right sidekick to Victor Wembanyama? I'll start with you there because you clearly acquire him with the thought that this two is going to be your pairing moving forward. And I'm certainly very high on De'Aaron Fox. I know he's maybe a little short on accolades when it comes to like all-star selections. He's only got one. Sacramento hasn't necessarily been a winning team in his time there, outside of a couple of seasons recently. But yeah, I mean, is De'Aaron Fox that clear-cut right Wemby sidekick for you?
Yeah, I think he has the skill set to pair perfect with Wemby. I think the question then I'll throw it to you is like, think about the other players that have been mentioned as available for the Spurs, like over say the
Okay.
past 12 months, and how you compare.
Mm.
So Trae Young, would you have been more interested in having Trae Young next to Wemby?
Well, the difference between like Trae Young versus a guy like De'Aaron Fox is I feel like with Trae, the passing is a level higher than what De'Aaron Fox does. Now, you can argue that De'Aaron Fox is a more more of a two-way player. Although I wouldn't say Fox is like a dominant defensive player, but then at the same time he's had to carry a pretty big offensive load, and it's not like Sacramento at any point have been known for defense. So, maybe he improves on that end. I think he probably has more of a capacity just based on his like length and quickness to be able to guard a lot better than Trae Young, who's like one of the worst defenders in the league. But the thing is, Trae Young makes up for that by being one of the best passers in the NBA. And, especially when you think about like guys who can pair up with Wemby and throwing him all the lobs and all that kind of stuff, you can argue that the difference in passing could favor a guy like Trae Young. But also at the same time, I'm thinking about Wemby and I'm like, do you really need that good of a passer to set up, Wemby for a bucket? Like this year, getting Chris Paul has already sort of unlocked a higher level from Wemby and from the Spurs in general. Last season, when the Spurs were running like Jeremy Sohan and Trey Jones as point guards, it was like, okay, they were struggling to get the ball to Wemby in the right spots. So I understand that like this has already been a point of emphasis, and that's why the Spurs have specifically gone out and shopped for point guards, and they got a star point guard here in Fox. But also at the same time, doesn't it feel like Wemby is so all capable that like it doesn't actually take that much to set him up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about all those terrible point guards that like the Sixers had who could like never get the ball into like Embiid. Like sometimes there's guys in the league who can't even like throw a regular lob pass
Yeah.
or just a
And
pass into
and to
the
be clear,
post.
Fox is not that. Like
No,
Fox is
Fox
like
Fox is not
he's a
that.
good point guard. He's just not like one of the
I
best passers in the world like Trey is.
I agree with you. And I think Wemby's skill set too makes you think about just from a team building standpoint, like what exactly do you want to build around him? Like now that you have Fox,
Hmm.
we've seen like so many of these 2-3 star models that take place around the league. To me, I think the Spurs and De'Aaron Fox, like you mentioned, he's a star. Like I don't know if I'm putting him on the level of like all NBA, like that type of level,
Hmm.
but
Sure.
are like what do the Spurs? I'm more interested in like, oh, what are the Spurs doing next? Like, are you just targeting players with specific skill sets, specific roles to
Hmm.
kind of pair next to Wemby versus like, oh, let's see what that big superstar is out there that we can pair with Wemby. I almost feel like they just want to build a roster that has depth, that really young team, athletic team, and just go from there. And they're like, man, they're like not that far from like just going into next year and even the rest of the second half of the season as like a top 6 team. Like that's how good Wemby is.
Yeah, and I think especially with all the movement in the Western Conference already taking place, we've already seen obviously Luka for AD, which is just groundbreaking as a trade. But like you could see, for example, in a couple of years, like if the Clippers, they're already an older team this year, it already feels like they're overperforming. Can they slide a little bit? Minnesota's already in the process of sliding, and that team is very expensive. And I actually do want to look later on in the show of how the Raptors can potentially capitalize on what's happening in Minnesota. Phoenix is old and only going to get older when they trade for Jimmy Butler, if they ever do manage to trade for Jimmy Butler. Sacramento, I mean, the team that's one of the two teams directly ahead of the Spurs, like it, with all due respect, but like the mid three of Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine is not exactly moving me as the Bulls of the Western Conference. So like, yeah, you could see them making a jump moving forward, and I think like Fox. The athleticism point is the one that's most exciting for me, right? Because he's a one man fast break, but the ability to create deflections and play in the transition game. Wemby is already one of the most disruptive defenders in the NBA, arguably we've ever seen with the way he can block shots. But he also picks off a lot of passes as well. He's very high there in deflections, and then Fox is a really really good player in terms of forcing those turnovers. Like I could see the next thing for San Antonio to really dominate is just a possession game, to get out in transition, to be super fast. And then also in crunch time, like as much as Wemby's had some big crunch time moments, sometimes I feel like he doesn't necessarily have a game plan of what he wants to do in crunch time. He's almost like he's almost like a guy at the buffet. You know what I mean? He's like, I can have anything here. I don't know what to do. And then you end up making a weird plate that has like egg
Chicken
rolls.
wings and fries again.
That's what you know what I mean? The chicken wings are touching like General Tso chicken. Like it should never happen in real life, right? When you make a normal plate at a restaurant. But with Wemby, so many options. It feels like he doesn't necessarily have that sort of like big experience to always close down games. And so already having a guy like Chris Paul is helping a lot. But we know Chris Paul's only there for a little bit. I mean, I could even see Chris Paul, like for example, being flipped eventually over the course of this week now that the Spurs have their long-term point guard available. But Fox is a guy who can certainly handle crunch time for you as well. So like it's an undeniable upgrade. I think it's still to be seen whether or not the Spurs need another guy to add to this. But the thing is, the Spurs still have so many assets remaining that they can do that. And Wemby doesn't get expensive in terms of he's still on his rookie scale deal. So they kind of have this like window here of another year where they can still continue to add to this team, and they have all the flexibility and all the assets in the world. So yeah, man, it'd be good to be a Spurs fan right now. I'll say that much.
Yeah, that's why they're really pissing me off, man. Like things are going great for them. For Chicago, I guess getting that pick back means that now they have the motivation to get into the lottery here for this season. So yeah. they're right now hanging real tight to that number 10 spot. And Philly, the Sixers are coming just one game back. Hey. And look out for the 19 and 29 Philadelphia 76ers, and then right behind them are your Toronto Raptors. So looks like it's going to be Philly and Toronto for that 10 spot if Chicago does decide to start bottoming out here finally.
The one thing with Chicago I would say is this is a team that I think yesterday started 4 point guards at Vucevic.
Yo, there's some NBA fan bases that just need to like quit their teams, man.
They have such a weird team. Like I think it was Kobe White started obviously as their point guard, but Josh Giddey plays point guard for them, and then Ayo Dosunmu also played. He's their backup point guard, and then also I think was it Lonzo? It probably was Lonzo.
Like, Lonzo at the 4.
Look, it was just weird. Like we saw them obviously. Well, they came to Toronto last week, and they actually beat the Raptors to prevent you from having to get a faux hawk.
Thank God.
Because we did have a bet that you would have to get a faux hawk if the Raptors won 7 games for no reason, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Mostly because we didn't think the Raptors would do it.
Thank you, Dylan Terry. Yeah,
Dylan Terry had a decent game, I suppose, but yeah, that's a team that just bombs a lot of threes. At least getting a guy like Herter back, like
sure,
something.
You're not gonna talk me. You're not gonna talk me into this edition of Kevin Herter.
Tell me who else does Chicago get again?
So they got Zach Collins, Big Z.
Oh, okay, Big Z, great.
Zico. They got Zico.
Yeah.
They got terrific Trey Jones. And they got Kevin Herter. I like Trey. I mean, Trey Jones is a solid player, but like we're just adding to our collection of point guards here. And once again, like if you isolate this trade for the Bulls, like Zach LaVine, we know about his contract, but he's been playing really well this year. Like this was essentially just a salary dump to get their 1 pick back.
Yeah. I suppose there is a bit of confusion in terms of just like how come Zach LaVine is worth just absolutely nothing, it feels like. Like basically it's like if you take him off our hands for free, we're willing to sort of part with Zach LaVine, which is kind of how this trade felt from the Chicago perspective. I got to remind people, Zach LaVine is averaging 24 points per game this season, shooting 51% from the field and 45% from 3 on 7 attempts per game. He also gives you 5 rebounds and 4 assists. Like, I'm not going to argue that Zach LaVine is like some clear-cut all-star that like, Sacramento has now, got for free. But also at the same time, The numbers are pretty strong. Like, why do you think? Is it just a contract? Is it just a
I,
contract that he
I,
has to
I
be given
just
away for free?
once again, I have to remind people of the terrible CBA that CJ McCollum and his team negotiated. I think we're just at a point now where if you are trying to build a team out, you can't really take on a Zach LaVine contract unless you think he's going to be one of your top like two guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that fits for any team that's looking to contend. Whereas in years past, if you were a Lakers team before Luka Doncic just fell into your lap, or like any
Yep.
of these teams who are looking to just add a player, you'd be willing to add a Zach LaVine
Mm-hmm.
and see how it works. But now you actually have to be super careful about the financial considerations.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean,
it's CJ McCollum's fault, basically, most of these deals.
I certainly it does not feel like. First off, it's actually not fun because I've been playing a lot with the NBA trade machine this week.
Trade machine Picasso.
Oh, trust me, I got some horrific paintings. They're more like Jackson Pollock's when we're going to be discussing the ones that we have later on today for the Raptors. But for me, it's like it's really hard to even just make trades now. Like even if you just play around with the NBA trade machine, you get like a obviously a model down, but like some idea of why it's difficult for a lot of trades to happen because you just keep hitting into trade failed, trade failed, trade failed, and it's because this team can't aggregate salaries. This team is already hard capped here and there at the first apron. It's like the Raptors are hard capped at the first apron. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of things that just kind of move around, and then the luxury tax to consider as well. It's just really hard to actually make trades happen. And so, for that flexibility piece, I can see why Zach got moved. I mean, he's also 29 years old. He's I guess he's going to be 30. Wow, what are the Kings doing? Yeah, so I mean, is this going to make you watch more Kings games?
Definitely not. But I think
Come on,
the
man.
Kings,
They're always on League Pass, by the way.
the Kings
I've never
are
seen the Kings on Sportsnet or TSN or NBA Canada. They're always on League Pass.
the Kings just got into a situation where one of their star players wanted out, and they were forced. Their hand was forced. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think they got back a decent haul of draft picks, but I'm not sure Kings fans are that excited to see Zach LaVine come in. Like, we already know their defensive issues, and we already know the ceiling of this team. And they made a decision a few years ago to trade Tyrese Halliburton and then roll with De'Aaron Fox, and now they lose Fox as well.
Right.
So it kind of sucks because like the Kings had that great feel-good story a few years ago, finally making it to the playoffs and going 7 games with the Warriors. And now you kind of see them slowly just slipping back into just being a really average team in the West, just like a play-in team.
Yeah, this is as all offense and no defense as it gets. I mean, it's not like the Kings were playing like amazing defense before this anyway, but like their starting five is now. First off, who's their point guard? Is it going to be DeMar DeRozan or Malik Monk? Well, they're both shooting guards.
Can they bring Sasha Vezenkov back, or has that ship sailed?
Hey man, he's been hooping for. I think I don't even know where he's playing. I don't want to offend the people overseas. So
sure. He's been hooping overseas. Yeah.
He's been hooping overseas. I see it occasionally from the European reporters that I follow in basketball over there. But their starting five looks to be Malik Monk at the 1, DeMar DeRozan at the 2, Zach LaVine at the 3, Keegan Murray at the 4. And Domantas Sabonis at the 5. Man, this is an all bucket squad, man. I like it.
Well, they gotta go.
I like it, but I'm never going to be invested in this team, and this team will be probably around 500.
They gotta go like super turbo, score like 140 points a game, and then maybe we can put them on the league pass menu.
140 dribble handoffs for Domantas Sabonis, and then he gets a huge triple double because of it. Great.
Another tortured fan base, man. The Kings.
Yeah.
Put the Bulls in there. The Mavs shot up the rankings this weekend.
Right.
The Mavs are right now at number 1. Yeah.
Well, I mean, have you seen the protests? Man.
The protests, the signs, all of this stuff.
People were leaving the Luka jerseys on the steps to the American Airlines Center arena. Oh, the coffin.
The coffin.
Look at all those clothes, man. Donate that stuff, man.
Oh man, I've seen so many clips this weekend of just Mavs fans. Just I really feel for them. I really do feel for them.
No,
now I feel for AD too, because AD's like, I'm not getting wrapped up in this, man. Like, I'm a Hall of Famer. Like, I'm gonna come here, make this team like decent for the short term, and everyone's just gonna hate me because every time they look at my unibrow, they're gonna think of Luka.
I feel so. Yeah, I do feel bad for them because
Yeah,
with AD, like he's a top 75 player of all time. Like, and they're
sure.
like, they're not even treating me like I'm a top 75 player in the league right now. Which, I mean, yeah. Kings, Bulls make a trade that. I mean, for the Bulls, if they start tanking, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they'll probably trade Vooch as well. I feel like this is the most point guards per capita that we've ever seen on a roster. I'll just say that much.
Yeah,
They just have only guards now. I guess that's kind of what happens when you deal with the Kings, because the Kings were kind of previously the team with only guards, and now they traded away all their point guards because at one point they did have all three of De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, and Davion Mitchell, who they all took in the lottery within the last within like a 4-year period.
Yeah, man.
I don't get what they're doing, but whatever.
Classic Bulls to start their tank 50 games into this season.
Yeah, well,
So
we'll
all right,
see.
we
won't be laughing if they get a better pick than the Raps, by the way.
Oh man, don't mention that. Come on, man. All right, Raptors time.
Let's go.
What's up with our Toronto Raptors?
So, as you people know already, there is no news with the Toronto Raptors. No, there just isn't. Like, you and I do the same thing. We wake up, we scroll around, X.com.
Like, come on, Mike Scotto.
You take 6 showers. Did you read the Mike Scotto piece? It didn't have any details in there about the Raptors.
I did.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
I read it in the shower. Yeah.
Go through the little Mark Stein Substack.
Yeah, I'm like, Jake Fisher, please.
Jake Fisher, something, man. Like just
oh,
toss
Zach Lowe.
something.
Zach Lowe just dropped a 17-minute pod on a Shore mic.
No, Zach Lowe crashing out on Medium.com, which is what I did to start this season. But I'm happy to see Zach in any moment that we can see Zach. So there isn't much Raptors stuff. But at the same time, there obviously is still 3 full days until the trade deadline takes place. And so I wanted to think about how the Raptors could potentially strategize heading into this trade deadline. Okay. Let's try to get into the minds of maybe Bobby Masai's a little aggressive. Maybe how about just Bobby and Dan Tolzman? You know what I mean? Like,
okay, yeah,
yeah.
No, both of them well. Let me get in their heads right now.
Yeah, you're getting character, buddy. Go put on a little tie-dye sweater, and you can become Bobby. And I'll throw on a little suit, some thick.
What was that tie-dye sweater that he wore? He wore it to
Dan.
practice one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Casual Bobby is a vibe, man.
Okay, listen. Casual Fridays for the Raptors. Bobby is in there with like a backwards ball cap, a tie-dye hoodie. You are Knuff. All right.
Oh my God.
So Raptors.
Did you just call him Dion Phaneuf?
No, I said you are Knuff. Like the hoodie from
I
from
just
Barbie.
thought you said Dion Phaneuf.
No, what are we trying to get in the minds of Brian Burke?
Check Will's Canadian anthem video on Twitter, man.
Hey, by the way, I saw some people leaving a comments about like, like the baritone singer sounded pretty good during the Canada anthem. That was me.
Oh, right. Damn. Okay.
That was me. I was doing karaoke.
Yeah, many of you have not heard Will sing. It's actually iconic. So.
Thank you. You have heard me sing like at least a dozen times.
I've heard you sing across like 5 continents.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, Raptors, what's up, bro?
So I think the Raptors should be looking at this trade deadline in terms of which teams need to get off salary for whatever reason. Whether that's
desperate.
It's all desperate. But however, there are teams around the league that are certainly in bad financial position because of this new CBA that has been launched into place.
Yeah, the CJ McCollum. Yeah.
There are teams that need to move from the second apron out of the second apron into the first apron at least, because there is a huge differential in terms of how much you're handcuffed financially if you're in the second apron. There are teams that want to move out of the first apron as well. And then I think the regular trades that take place in trade deadline is always how can teams avoid having to be in the luxury tax, because it's not just ownership being cheap, although you could be argued that that's not an insignificant factor, but you can go from having to pay, I don't know, maybe like 2, 3, 4, 5 million into the luxury tax versus if you duck out of it, you can get a payment of like 20 million to your roster. So there is a huge incentive. It's not just like going, below a line. Like it's not just as simple as that. Like I think a lot of teams have that incentive. So I was looking around the league in terms of teams that are in financial trouble or soon to be in financial
this
trouble.
Premise is killing me.
No, I mean,
no, I know you're right, but it's just like, this is what happened to the trade deadline I used to love. Man.
I'm not moving you with this.
Oh my
Okay, let
god.
me hit you with the trades. Okay, let me hit you with the
All
trades.
right, here we go.
How can we capitalize? I think
Let's
number one for me is Minnesota Timberwolves. That
Minnesota
team
Timberwolves.
is going through a very messy change in ownership right now.
Yep.
It's messy in part because the incoming owners, which is partly headlined by Alex Rodriguez, it looks a little broke. Okay,
Yeah,
because
it
they're
doesn't
paying for
sound
the
like
team on.
yeah, they've been unable to like come up with the money and stuff basically.
Exactly. They're paying for the Timberwolves on installments. They're saying, can we put the Timberwolves franchise on Klarna? It
Yeah.
also seems like Glenn Taylor, the existing owner, is like backing out of certain portions of the deal and trying to change the price. It's just very messy all around. My point is, though, they seem to be haggling a lot for a team that is right now over the second apron.
Ooh, they're in trouble. They're in
Minnesota right
trouble.
now is at 202 million
Yeah, that's a
at
lot.
current
That's a lot.
salary, right? The second apron is 188, the first apron is 178, and then the luxury tax line is like 170. There's no chance for them to even get to the 170 portion. However, I think because they have multiple contracts locked in for a long time, and their team has all season basically floated around 500, you know what I mean? Like they're certainly underperforming. They thought they would win the West this year. They're nowhere close to being top of the West right now. If they need to move off long-term salary, and the Toronto Raptors are willing to do something to help that, would you give them Bruce Brown and Davion Mitchell for Jaden McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker? Now, of course, you're thinking, wait, well, that's ridiculous. Those two guys are rotation players for a team that just went to the Western Conference Finals. Why would they do this? If they do this, Minnesota can already get below and out of this contract situation next year when Bruce Brown and Davion Mitchell expire. Now, of course, they can choose to re-sign them. They will have their bird rights. You can do whatever you need to at that point. That's not really the Raptors' concern. But basically, McDaniels is averaging, I think, like basically he makes 30 million in 2029. It escalates between 25 to 30 million. If you take that contract off their books, it makes it so much easier for them to sort of at least operate, at least in that first apron territory, rather than a second apron territory. Of course, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he's an impending free agent. They don't even have any money, really, to be able to re-sign him, any capacity to re-sign him. So he might just be walking anyway. So I guess the goal of it is for Toronto, do you want to add these two defenders, one of which you would have to re-sign in Nickeil, but of course he's Canadian, he's from Scarborough, so you would assume you can do that relatively easily. Would you do this deal, and do you think Minnesota would do this deal?
I mean, the Raptors for sure would definitely do this deal. I think Minnesota would be asking for maybe a lot of draft compensation.
Really?
Because yeah, they probably want to.
How good is Jaden McDaniels like really like moving you that strongly?
I mean, he's moving me enough strongly where I feel like, well, first of all, any mention of McDaniels gives me PTSD. But like, I think
That's fair. That is very fair.
getting Jaden
That's very fair.
McDaniels, like we've seen what he can do in the playoffs. He can be really streaky, and but like I think adding a defender of that caliber would really go a long way towards what you're trying to build here.
Yeah.
In terms of surrounding Scotty with different archetypes of players. Like Nickeil Alexander's fine. I mean, shouts to him. Canadian story. You know,
We're
great
just
vintage,
stacking Canadians over
great
here.
vintage fits and all that. But if I'm talking to Minnesota and they're in a little bit of money trouble here, I would love to get Jaden McDaniels from them.
Okay, so Jaden McDaniels this season, again, he's not like a guy who's going to score a bunch of points, but 10.7 points per game, shooting 46% from the field, 34% from three, 5 rebounds, you know, less than 2 assists, 1.5 steals. Obviously, we know he's a strong defender. I'm not saying he's a bad player at all. There's a reason why I want to acquire him for the Raptors. Again, this is because Minnesota is very, very much cash strapped, and you could take their longest term salary actually on the books right now and bring them to Toronto in a salary dump kind of situation. Of course, I would. If I were Minnesota, I would try to bargain for more. I would potentially shop it elsewhere as well. So I think if the Raptors really want to sort of get this thing done, and if you really want a 3-and-D potential guy to put into your starting lineup for the Raptors long term, you could probably throw in a first-round pick. The Raptors do have that spare Indiana 2026 first-round pick that they can throw in here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think at least like it's at least on paper, it's not that ridiculous when you consider the situation that Minnesota's in. Again, the whole idea is you look at teams that are in need right now and you try to offer them relief by taking some of their talent away.
Yeah, I think if it's a cost cutting thing for the Wolves, then yes, it makes sense. But from a basketball standpoint, like after trading Cat 2, and you know they've got Randle heading to free agency, I assume that marriage is going to end this summer. Like Jaden McDaniels got to be pretty high on their list of guys that they probably want to keep. just to build moving forward with Ant.
That's totally fair. That is totally fair.
Like
And
you'd
I
have to,
do
I think you'd
wonder.
have to like win them over on a
Okay,
deal. Like it wouldn't be a straight cost cutting for them.
so you're saying Minnesota probably says no,
I
which
would
I
say
honestly I agree.
yeah,
I do agree that they're more likely to say no in this situation.
yeah.
The alternative to this, because you mentioned that Julius Randle is heading into free agency this summer, but guess what? That's up to Julius Randle, man, because
Oh,
he
he
has
got
a
that
player option.
little player option,
He's got a
little
player option for.
Jimmy Butler nuclear option.
He got a $31 million player
Yeah.
option, so he could
Yeah.
potentially stay, which is again why Minnesota's books are so screwed up. I mean, this and also Rudy Gobert making 50, but still, they're obviously not going to move him. Would you take on Julius Randle as a salary dump and take on a first?
To
So
take
you
on
give
a
him like
first.
you give him like Chris Boucher and Bruce Brown for Julius Randle, and then you take on additional salaries or assets. Like let's say you scoop up a Leonard Miller, who the Raptors liked at the time of the draft,
I don't
or
know, man. I don't know if
a
I'm,
first.
shouts to the 2019 Knicks, but I don't know if I'm trying to see IQ Randall and RJ in Toronto.
Yo, reuniting RJ and Randall.
Why are we bringing back the mid three from the Knicks? What are we doing? No, and we
This is worse than reuniting DeMar and Zach, man. At least that pairing makes sense to some degree.
respects to Julius Randle, professional hooper, but like we've watched him enough that know that he's a very frustrating player.
Dog.
And it's for what they're trying to do here. I don't know if this is the right fit for Randle to be here. Yeah.
So
it's a no for me.
So you're not going to take on Julius Randle for Leonard Miller and let's say a first. Would two first move you?
I want two first for sure. Two first for anybody would move me. But
okay,
I think I would want to find another avenue to get that first.
Okay,
like from somewhere else without trying to taking on Randle. Taking on Randle just sounds really stressful.
No, I think it's actually against the rules about. Like Adam Silver should step in and be like, no, man.
Yeah,
we don't need to see RJ and Randle
when Luka
back together.
fell into the Lakers' lap.
Yeah. Well, that's different, man. It helped the league when it helps the Lakers. Okay, fine. Minnesota, maybe not the pick here, but along the same idea, Phoenix is at $217 million this year.
Oh man.
Again, the second apron is 188. Okay, they have blown past that second apron. This is like LaMelo speeding in Charlotte, basically. Level of like over the limit.
Oh, God.
Yusuf Nurkic makes $19 million this year and also next year as well. They already have acquired Nick Richards, so I assume that that's the center they want to roll with moving forward. Nurkic is, basically benched and waiting to be freed, I suppose. Of course, it's difficult because I don't think people necessarily want him right now. He's not a bad player, but he's not a good player. And he's making $19 million next year, so salary dump.
He's not a bad player. And he's not a good player. Is amazing.
He's just a player. That's it. He's just a player.
That's an amazing description for a player.
Don't hate the player, hate the contract. That's Yusuf Nurkic.
God.
Would you give them Chris Boucher as a salary relief, or I guess Bruce Brown for salary relief, and then you'd have to take like a super distant pick from them, or you would take one of the picks that they've got recently, which is they make that trade where they split their one first round pick in the distant future into 3 first round picks that are not particularly good. I'll give you the details of those. So the Suns acquired the least favorable first round pick in 2025 of the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, or the Jazz. So it's obviously going to be the Cavs pick, which this year could honestly be the 29th or 30th pick based on where they are in the standings. The same pick for 2027 between Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah, or 2029 Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah. So, would you essentially take on Yusuf Nurkic to acquire one of these picks that most likely is actually guaranteed basically not to be in the lottery?
No, I would not do this.
Okay,
you're taking on
just
Nurkic.
A strong no. Okay.
And I'm to the point where like, if you're not getting a first rounder or a decent second rounder for Chris, why don't we? And the Raptors don't have any picks owing right now. Like they have all their picks, I believe, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think
they're
so.
in a pretty good spot in
Mm-hmm.
terms of picks. So they're not in a situation where they're trying to like replenish in that way. Obviously, adding is great, but I'm more of the mind, and maybe I'm being bought in because like Chris has been with the organization for a long time. He's been playing better lately. I'm of the mind of why not consider bringing him back.
Okay, I didn't think you would go with that angle.
Unless the value is like that great. Because like if you're asking me to take back Yusuf Nurkic again, not sure it'd be great for the culture here.
What's wrong with the culture? I mean, he's a passing center. Like,
Is
the
he
Raps
gonna
love
play
passing.
here?
I
Because
mean,
when he
it's him
doesn't
or
play,
Kelly, basically.
he's not very happy when he doesn't play.
Well,
So
I'll invite him to my Tuesday run. What do you want from me, man? Yo,
no,
Yusuf, you want to come hoop against 40-year-old Filipinos? Let me know. I got you Tuesday nights, man.
yeah, and these I don't know. We need to get a better deal for Chris than this.
Okay. Well, what
I
would you
want
flip
I
Bruce
want a
Brown for him?
better deal. I want a better deal.
What about Bruce Brown for him? I mean, Phoenix is stuck in the second apron. It doesn't really matter at this point. So
Yeah, I think I'm just stuck on taking this Nurkic contract back.
fair enough. I mean, it is 19 next year as well.
Yeah.
I think from the Raptors' perspective, maybe having a $19 million expiring salary next year could be something that you could try to move around. Like, if you
Sure.
by the way, if you like the optionality of Bruce Brown being able to facilitate potential
Yeah.
trades with this year's expiring salary, we can do that next year with Yusuf Nurkic.
No, man. You know what? Just we can't go through this, man. We can't just be this facilitator out here year after year. This
we
year's
got a
fine.
fetish for facilitating.
No,
man.
this year's fine, man. Next year, let's be a bit more serious.
Okay. On the flip side, would you do pretty much the same deal, Chris Boucher for Grayson Allen? Straight salary dump for Grayson Allen, who is surprisingly under contract for quite a long time. I know he had a pretty nice season for Phoenix last year. Shot the three really well. This year he's shooting the three really well again, 43% for Grayson Allen. But he is making 15.5 this year, 17 next year, 18 in 2027, and $19 million player option for 2028. This is a lot of money to take on for Grayson Allen. I'm not going to lie to you. Who, by the way, Grayson Allen is like, he's got to be almost 30 now. Yeah, he's 29. So would you do that?
No.
Plus one of their picks, by the way. Plus one of their firsts.
What's Grayson Allen's role gonna be here? Is he gonna cut into like Grady Dick and some of these other development
Probably, yeah.
projects here?
Yeah.
And then we're locked into a contract that feels like a Gary Trent Jr. type contract when he was here.
So this is also a no for you.
No, yeah.
Not even for one of these shitty firsts.
The trade machine Jackson Pollock is here, man.
Hey, man, I told you that it wasn't going to be nothing like sweet. Okay, I mean, I try to offer you Jaden McDaniels. That seemed a little too far fetched, I suppose. So
creating a Raptor segment out of thin air during trade deadline right now, it's respects.
Okay, last potential team here. So Indiana is not a team actually in the first apron. They're certainly not in the second apron. They're not even in the luxury tax right now, which actually shouldn't be a surprise.
They're pretty frugal usually. Yeah.
Indiana's exactly. They never enter the luxury tax. But here's the issue. This year they have $170 million committed. So they're right there. Like they're literally right there, Matt Devlin style, when it comes to where they are luxury wise.
Yeah.
The thing is, they have Miles Turner, who is entering free agency this summer, and I think Miles Turner has certainly outplayed a $90 million per year contract that has somehow remained on their books, even though they try to trade him every single year. So with him coming back, and if they do bring him back, that will really put a lot of strain on their team because of the fact that, I mean, they also have Andrew Nembhard. His contract kicks in, so right now he's making like $2 million. Next year he'll be making 20, so that's going to eat into a lot of their money. And so, they probably need to move some long-term money off of their books. So even though that's not a team that is, in financial trouble right now, in the future they will be. They have $168 million committed for next season. Again, the luxury tax is 170, 171, 171, 172. Like it depends on what it's going to float in at next year. The league's got to calculate its money. You don't need to care about all that kind of stuff. It's a P&L talk. You already did that point in your career as a former accountant. So my point is, though, they have $168 million for next season, and they need to re-sign Miles Turner on top of that, right? So imagine just that number plus like 25 a year, which exactly. So I got two proposals. Once again, I'm trading for another program, Chris Boucher. Would you take on Obi Toppin for Chris Boucher? A straight up no picks.
What's Obi Toppin's contract situation?
Obi Toppin makes, I believe. Obi Toppin makes $13 million this year. Next year he makes 14, In 2026, 2027, he makes 15, and in 2027, 2028, he makes 16 million. He's coming off the bench for Indiana. He's 26 years old, so you're getting him in the prime of his career at a contract number that is,
Not Obi Toppin
decent-ish.
prime.
Yeah, but like you didn't want to reunite RJ and Randall for reasons that save the future of the planet, but would you reunite RJ and Obi?
You know what? I would take this deal. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I like bringing on Obi Toppin for this price at his age. Do you think we couldn't get them to throw in a pick or something? Chris doesn't have that value. Even like a
Uh
low level type, you know.
well, the reason I threw Chris in this potential option is because I actually think Chris could just do what Obi Toppin does for Indiana, but like so it's like not a disruption for Indiana,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're
He
kind of
just
similar
slots in
style
and can
players.
replace them. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, you can re-sign Chris in the summer if you choose to. If he doesn't fit for him, then he can go into free agency, whatever. But again, it takes that 14 million off the books, and it gives him a little bit of room to be able to sort of like take on, re-sign Miles Turner. Because like if you don't re-sign Miles Turner, like I actually don't know what the Pacers will do for the front court.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of getting Obi Toppin. That one I'm interested in.
Okay, finally got a partial yes. I like this.
Well, you're either this or the least favorable of 9 picks in 2035.
Yeah, the funny thing is the least favorable, and it includes the Cavs, so it's like you're guaranteed to get the 29th
And somehow
pick.
Utah's always involved because Danny Ainge has got his hands in every single
Oh.
draft pick swap in the whole league.
No, he's definitely got a fetish, man, and he got more than one fetish. But certainly he got a fetish for taking on any picks possible. The other potential Indiana trade that I will look at is so they have Benedict Mathurin on their books as well.
Mm-hmm.
He has, I believe they've already picked this option up, but it's 9.2 million for next year, the last year of his rookie scale contract. This summer, he's going to be eligible to be extended off the rookie scale contract, which is always a good sign in terms of like, it's basically like where are we at in a relationship when it comes to that third year of that rookie scale contract. Like obviously when the Raptors hit it with Scottie Barnes last year, they were like, "Yep, we love you. Here's a ring. We're just gonna lock you up, and you're gonna be here for the foreseeable future." Right? Like no question about it. That deal got done very quickly. It's not gonna be that same situation when Benedict Mathurin pops the question to Indiana this summer when it comes to that extension. When you look at their backcourt, it's already quite crowded. Right, you have Nembhard locked in for the future. You have Tyrese Halliburton, who is your franchise player. You have TJ McConnell, who is a vital part of this team, cannot be moved. And then Aaron Nesmith also plays in this backcourt and also is signed up for at least another 2 years, and a pretty cheap 2 years, 11 million per. Actually, I wouldn't mind scooping Nesmith either. But make a call and just see like, yo, if you don't want Benedict Mathurin, maybe someone else comes in for Benedict Mathurin. I think at this point, the trade you would have to offer them probably would be some sort of expiring salary. So whether that's Chris or Davion or whoever, probably Chris in this situation. And you would go to them and say, here's your 2026 first rounder back that we got from Pascal. That's, we have the Indiana Pacers first round pick for 2026. It's lottery protected, but still, they're probably not going to be in the lottery. You at least give them another chance to sort of like reset, get their pick back. And then at that point, you would be in prime position to re-sign Benedict Mathurin. I suppose my question to you is like, do you actually like Benedict Mathurin as a player, and do you see him as a fit in Toronto? Because he's still only 22 years old.
Oh, I love Benedict Mathurin.
Okay.
I think if we can get this deal done, it'd be great to have him as a scorer coming off the bench. You're kind of locking in a nice piece for the future, and like you're always trying to timeline everything with Scottie, and hopefully whatever first round pick comes through this coming draft. Yeah, I'd be open to making this deal. Because you're like the whole thought process with Jaden McDaniels, like Benedict Mathurin, like are these guys that you envision being part of the team, like for the next like 3 to 5 years as you're building up.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know. Mathurin is a very polarizing player. I feel like
super polarizing because he's not strong defensively.
Right.
Some people would argue he's a ball hog. I got to watch a little bit more Pacers games. Some games when I watch the Pacers, he looks very dynamic.
Yeah.
Certainly has been a high scoring player. I mean, he's basically been the same player for 3 years running now since he entered the league. He did come in with the sixth pick in the 2022 NBA draft. It feels like we're playing a basketball reference game now, but he averaged 17 as a rookie. Then dipped down to 14 last year, and now he's back to 16.4. So, like, this is kind of the player that he is. Maybe there's a bit of a jump here or there. I do think that, like, he could certainly pass more. Like, for a guy who takes a lot of shots, he's only ever averaged 2 assists a game at once.
That's the
You
type of
know?
player that he is, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
you've seen that prototype of player, and he can slot in well
Mm.
on a team that needs that second unit scoring, can kind of take over and maybe even close games and stuff. And I think at that age too, like, yeah, no, I'd be super intrigued if Indiana was in a bit of a crunch and wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah, I see him almost as like I guess Malik Monk path is like a little too strong because Malik Monk didn't he have to take like a minimum with the Lakers to rebuild his
Yeah, minimum with the
value?
Lakers after he was in Charlotte, right?
Yeah,
And then
then he had to
finally
take like a
found,
2 year mid level with the
yeah, got his like
Kings.
6 man of the year push and really grew in
Yeah,
Sacramento, right? So
right. But I mean, as
wow,
a bucket getter, I mean, I certainly respect Benedict Mathurin a lot as a bucket getter. Another Canadian. I mean, again, we're just stacking Canadians on the Raptors.
yeah,
But you know, if again, like the Raptors could potentially do this style of trade, and I suppose more than anything else, I didn't necessarily want to pitch these specific ideas at you, but just to sort of like open to the possibility of the Raptors using this strategy of looking at teams that are going to be really cash strapped, whether that's because they want to avoid the luxury tax or get out of the apron, and offer some of their expirings and use their flexibility to their advantage. You know, and if you can get picks, go ahead. If you can get prospects as well, I think for me, I'd actually probably prefer prospects. At least you get a sense of what they are already. But these are the type of deals that I would hope the front office is kind of looking at right now, in addition to potentially facilitating whatever Jimmy Butler mega trade that has been teased for months and has not yet
nah, man.
happened.
Jimmy Butler's showing up to a Big Face Coffee today for his 9 to 5 shift, and that's about it, man.
This is Jimmy Butler literally becoming a barista, man. He's like, I
Yeah,
don't even
well,
want to hoop no more. I just want to make coffees. I want to make latte.
well, a couple other kind of trade deadline bits and pieces here,
Mm.
and then maybe we can wrap up.
Okay.
So it was reported by Brian Windhorst on the weekend, speaking of Big Face Coffee's Jimmy Butler, that he was unwilling to sign an extension with the Warriors. So trade talks between Miami and Golden State have ended for now.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean the Jimmy Butler trade request saga, the interest level I believe is at a 1 out of 10 right now.
I think the Luka trade, as you mentioned, has not helped in this situation, but
Mhm.
also at the same time, like this is definitely the most leverage Jimmy Butler will pretty much have for the rest of his career is right
Sure,
now.
sure.
But the whole thing is just being held up because Bradley Beal has the ultimate say. You know,
Well, I think
I
Bradley Beal has
consent, I
said, yeah.
consent, I don't consent meme.
Bradley Beal has said that he's not waiving his no trade clause
Bro,
either.
that man's saying you got to respect my consent to be traded,
He
and I
says he doesn't
respect
want
that.
to move his family.
He's like,
Out
I'm
of
good in
Phoenix.
Phoenix. I don't care, man.
He's
Anything
like,
else,
I'm good in Phoenix.
I just want to stay.
I'm making 75 million in the valley in 3 years. Like,
He's like, there's no taxes here.
why are you
It's
telling me I
warm.
might go to Milwaukee? Like, what are you even talking about?
Wait,
Speaking of the Suns,
does he have no ambitions, by the way? I feel like Bradley Beal got no ambitions. He's like, I don't care, man.
hey,
I just want to be warm, make my money tax
I'm
free.
not
That's
gonna
it.
hate on a guy that's on that contract, man.
Yeah,
It's
fair enough.
He did well. Speaking of the Suns, Jake Fisher just reported that the Suns are believed to be listening, at the very least, to other teams' pitches for Kevin Durant.
What?
Durant, meanwhile, is said to be aware of all of this. So,
Bro.
I don't
Why
know
do we
what
have
the
to start it with? Are we starting another pod? Is that what we're doing right now?
no,
This is another pod.
this is just a
worthy,
little
man.
no, this is just a little teaser, a little teaser for everyone
This ain't a teaser.
to
What do you mean?
marinate on. Yeah.
No, we just had a whole meal. We had a little appetizer with a little
Yeah.
fox, you know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
we had a
Not
whole
actual
main
Fox.
course.
We meant De'Aaron
Hey,
Fox.
you know what? That's a
Yeah, we
stereotype if
meant
you're thinking
De'Aaron
that.
Fox. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
This ain't
okay.
Guangzhou.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're also
Yeah,
had
got
a
a little
whole main
deep
meal.
fish.
Three
little
whole courses.
rice. A little
You know what I
thin
mean?
rice.
Yeah. You know, me trying to sell you Julius Randle, that wasn't a hit.
Yeah. Well, remember
Yeah.
before Woj retired,
Sure.
like I believe it was him who was like tweeting out that the Rockets were like super interested in Kevin Durant. Like I think he
Oh
tweeted
my
this out, like,
God.
and then he like deleted the tweet right away.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't even know what's the, I guess, quick thought exercise. Like, what's the destination for Kevin Durant? I've always pitched OKC.
Man.
I think
OKC would
OKC.
be so cool for
I
him.
think. Well,
Which
what
is why
gets
he's
that
never
done?
going to do it.
Do you offer them Chet, and just like 10 draft picks or whatever draft picks gets it done?
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be the best trade that they could do.
You
But
part with Chet, you give up a bit of the future,
mhm.
but I think that ups your chances right now.
How about we actually, instead of flipping him to OKC, which would be cool. Like it would be cool. It would make it really fun, and I think OKC will be the championship favorites at that point, ahead of Boston. But for pure nostalgia factor, what if he goes back to Golden State?
Oh yeah, but
You know?
what would be the move, man?
Oh, by the way, we would be facilitating Wiggins in this situation.
Oh my god.
Raptors are like, ooh,
Well, I
a
think
Golden
the
State Warriors trade. Let me facilitate that Wiggins for you.
what would the Suns throw in? Like Kaminga, all their other terrible young players,
Yeah,
like
man. Pods.
Trace Jackson,
The bucket. Shots to chaos. The crab bucket.
Moses Moody is still there.
Oh, you want Moody? Go ahead, man.
You know what?
Whatever prospects you want.
KD to Golden State,
Yeah.
and then let's get Clay back too. Clay from
Clay
Dallas
doesn't want to go, man. Clay's good.
Are you sure? Let's check in after this weekend, man.
Clay's good in the Gulf, man. He wants to stay in the
Clay's
Gulf.
good in the American Airlines Center.
Actually, I think Dallas is not even on the coast. Never mind.
No,
So he's not even in the Gulf.
So Clay goes back as well. And then in a surprise move,
Not Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole makes his return. Yeah, let's get the whole gang back together, man. Do you think that team makes it to the conference final? I think they're out in the first round.
That team is there for pure vibes. That's like a 50th anniversary school reunion. That's like a 10-year school reunion vibe. That's not a team that's gonna do anything, man.
If KD's available, Houston, OKC, I think all these teams got to step up.
Well, what's your favorite landing destination? If you had to just pick one for the league, regardless of the trade package.
Nostalgia-wise, definitely OKC.
Okay.
I think the most interesting one would be Houston.
Man,
most interesting because Houston's got the young players,
Mhm.
the draft picks. They can put together a good package for Phoenix.
Sure.
My question would then be do you just you don't move Devin Booker too and just do a whole rebuild? Meanwhile, Bradley Beal is still there.
Bradley Beal's like, I'm good. I don't care.
He's like, why
we
am
could
I
be the worst team in the NBA. I just want to be warm and have my family stay.
Why am I playing with Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green right now? What just happened?
He's like, I got traded to Houston, but I'm still in Phoenix.
Why is Nurk in the starting lineup again?
Goodness.
I think Houston would be the most interesting, just because, KD would slot in. I think KD slotting into a young up and coming team would be a super fun way for him to end his career.
The thing is, Houston's on such a good chemistry wave that not that I would ever say no to KD.
Chemistry wave, whatever. I don't think KD's disruptive like that. He's just a little surly sometimes.
I mean, that's why he's disrupted.
But that's KD, man. Damn.
Yeah. No, for the future of the league, the best situation for him to go to would be OKC. They would it's been cute with OKC, right? I think with the lesson that OKC, and obviously it's been all managed by Sam Presti, is if you have the shot, take it. Don't be swinging the ball. I feel like OKC always gets the point. It's like if you run a pick and roll and then two guys go to the ball and then they swing it to the next guy. Now you got a 4-on-3. OKC's always got a permanent 4-on-3 in terms of their talent, in terms of their contract, in terms of their picks.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we're going to get a great shot out of this. And they just keep swinging that fucking ball, man. They're like, oh, yeah, let's just swing it over here. We'll swing it over here. Oh, we got KD and Westbrook and Harden. Let me swing the ball and let me just move Harden. But it's okay. We still got Serge. And it's like, stop doing that. Take your one chance. Go get KD. You have all the assets in the world to do it.
Take a swing,
KD
man.
on the OKC Thunder right now. And whatever. Maybe it costs you Chet Holmgren for the future.
Sure.
And you know what I mean? That would suck, because Chet Holmgren's going to be a really good player in this league. But the last thing I think for OKC to come through this whole 2 decades now of being a really good team and have all these future Hall of Famers and to not come out with one title, just win that one title. And honestly, it's the best ending for KD as well.
And you have to think about it too for this season. The NBA is pretty wide open in that there's not this one team that you have to beat.
Sure.
To go through. Yeah. If you are an OKC, one of these top teams, and you make one major move right now, I think you position yourself right there to just get the title. This is the move.
And do you want to look back on this whole time and be like, hey man, we were really good, man. We were always really good. We were always right there, and then we would just never actually came through with it. You know what I mean?
Is there outside of Shea? Outside of Shea, is there anyone that's untouchable for you in a KD to OKC trade?
Oh, you're definitely not trading Shea.
Yeah, no,
Um,
but outside of Shea. So Shea's
I think
untouchable.
Chet's the cleanest move. Chet's the
Yeah.
cleanest move if you
What
were
if
going
they're
to
like,
make a
we,
trade
we
like
need
that.
Jalen Williams too?
You're in no position to bargain. What do you mean, man? What? You're already getting Chet. What are you talking about?
So you think Chet and draft picks will be enough? It'll be a
Chet
lot of
draft
draft
picks.
picks.
It'll probably be like you probably got to move money around because KD does make $51 million and Chet's still on his rookie scale making 10.
Right.
So I'm literally the Picasso right now.
A
I got the
Pollock.
brush in my hand right
Yo,
now, man.
paint it up, Van Gogh. Bite your
Okay,
ear off. Cut your ear off, man.
okay, that's
Yeah.
what's weird. That's weird.
This guy's potting with one ear.
I'm just like this, like yo, what up, guys?
What are you cooking up? Can you cook
So
this up in
you
real
can,
time
oh
right
man,
now?
this is actually really tough. So I was trying to put Caruso in this, but then I
How many
forgot that.
Isaiah Joes can we throw in there, man?
You might need. I like Isaiah Joe. Can I keep him?
What
Nah,
about
you can have Isaiah Joe. It's fine. Go ahead and have
like
Isaiah Joe.
you know what? That's a fair question though, because like clearly you don't want to gut your team and the
You
depth
don't
that
want to
they
gut your
have.
team.
Gotta
Right.
be then it gotta be a three-way trade, man. So the Spurs get in there and they get Chet.
Oh no! Oh my god!
You know what? Why don't the Spurs just come in and be like, "Yo, we
That's
have an
kinda
offer for
heat.
KD"?
I think the issue with OKC is they just don't have that many small pieces. Like I suppose you can trade him Isaiah Hartenstein instead.
Sure. I don't know if you
Um,
want to do that though. Like then it's reaching a point where you're gutting the team a little bit too much.
God, what am I doing? This. I'm cooking up the nastiest trade right now, guys.
This is
Hold on.
this has always been the problem with KD trades.
KD,
like
bro, you
5
just
years.
can't trade 5 pennies for KD.
Yeah, his
Okay.
contract is too big.
All right, you ready for this? Ready for this doozy right here?
Okay. Okay.
OKC gets Kevin Durant. Period. Okay, that's it. They get Kevin Durant. They return back to Phoenix. Chet Holmgren, who's the headline for this trade.
Yep.
Aaron Wiggins.
Okay.
Okay, don't call me Andrew.
Yep.
Aaron Wiggins.
Yep.
Isaiah Joe.
Okay. Cup of coffee. Yeah.
A cup of coffee.
Yeah.
A little Kenrich Williams.
Okay. This is getting to be a lot already, man.
And then Nikola Topic, who has yet to make his debut in the NBA.
Yeah,
but
you're not a topic. You're a Topic.
hot topic. Hot Topic. I mean, this is a ridiculous trade because again, the difficult thing is the other way to make this happen is if you just trade Hartenstein, but I also feel like you need a little bit of size.
You got to keep Hartenstein.
I guess you got to keep him,
Yeah.
but
I don't know when Isaiah Hartenstein became a top 15 most important player, but he's here.
I mean, if you threw Hartenstein, then of course you can make this a little bit more balanced. But if you're trading both Chet and Hartenstein in this, then you would be like you want to contend right now, and you need a center,
Yes.
right? And even Kenrich Williams plays some small ball center for them. Like it can't just be KD with a playing center, and then like Brandon Carlson.
This is why
their
KD
backup center.
This is why KD shouldn't have signed all these extensions in like Brooklyn. I don't know if he signed one in Phoenix. He should have just taken himself to free agency at some point.
Well, the last time he did that, everyone in the world hated him.
I know, but it's like trading for KD is such a difficult exercise.
Okay.
Like I think we tried this a few years ago too, when like KD was on the market and we're talking about him
for the
coming to
Raptors.
Toronto, and we couldn't do it.
Well, it was the same exact issue. We'd had to throw in like not just Scotty, even if you were going to make a Scotty for KD trade, which at the time, like I don't think the front office wanted to do that either.
Yeah.
But like Scotty was still on his rookie scale contract, so you'd have to stuff in like Gary and then Fred, or like Gary and then OG, or like Pascal has to go in that trade. Like it just didn't make sense at that point when you're sort of trying to balance it out. I suppose if you throw in Hartenstein into this trade, not that again like Hartenstein's the one that's going to hold it up.
No, I'm labeling him untouchable.
I believe. Let me just try this. Hold on. What am I even doing here? Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, Nikola Topic for KD. The crazy thing is, that works financially for both teams. The craziest thing is OKC still not even in the luxury tax when they make this trade.
Yeah, and they're probably still gonna have like an extra 10 first rounders remaining, even after what they give. To Phoenix. But
you'd have to go trade for a center after that point as well. But whatever.
I think this is smart. This is smart of Phoenix, honestly. Like that team is not going anywhere, and if you think you can get a nice haul for Kevin Durant, like put the bidding out this week. I think teams will go for that. This is what Nico Harrison should have done instead of just grabbing secret dinners with Rob Pelinka for 3 weeks.
No, Rob Pelinka's like, do you see the quote? He's like, he was offered Luka, and he's like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, he's like, "Yo, you kidding me, man? I need to sit down right now."
Like,
Jerome sent this along
right
regarding Luka. So per Kirk Goldsberry, the original deal for Luka included multiple first rounders and Dalton Connect. But Rob
Okay.
Pelinka was able to convince the Mavs that Luka came with a lot of risks, including his drinking and weight problems. Leave the man alone, man. We've been knowing his lifestyle. Like,
Yo, they're using his fitness as leverage, man.
no, this
They're
whatever.
like, yo, man, he's got an elevated BMI. He's got a higher risk of heart conditions in the future. Like when they testing his cholesterol, they're like, yo, his cholesterol is higher than his PER right now. Like,
Just not opening up Luka to bidding will
bro,
just forever haunt me, and I don't even care about the Mavs.
that's crazy. How would they even have done this deal without that? Would it have been like D'Angelo Russell when he was back still there, and then Rui Hachimura and.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Because you'd have to get to a big salary. The thing is, like, Luka makes like 60 something, so it's like easier to make the trade for like AD. But no, man, that would have been a terrible deal too. What am I saying? A first round picks and Dalton Connect for Luka Doncic? Honestly, I don't want to feed into the conspiracy, but it feels like the Mavericks were like, yeah, how about we send you Luka? Okay, we'll figure out all the details later, but let's just make sure we give you Luka for free. Like, this is ridiculous, man.
Yeah, no, it's 2 days later. I still can't wrap my head around it. By the way, for anybody tuning in, we're gonna be at NBA Courtside Restaurant this Thursday at the trade deadline. We're gonna go live there around 2, hang out there for the afternoon. So feel free, come through, hang out, say hi to us, toss your fake trades, proposals to us in person.
Yep.
We'll be there. NBA Courtside Restaurant, great spot to hang out if you're looking for a spot to hang out and follow all the trade deadline stuff that's happening that day. 15 Queens Quay East.
Yeah, it's a beautiful location. It's right on the water. A lot of basketball artifacts in there as well. Antiques. You know what I mean? It's actually really cool spot. But I think more than anything else, it's just come skip work because you're probably just gonna be scrolling your social media platform of choice that day anyway, waiting for trades to happen.
Book a fake meeting with a coworker from 12 to 4.
Yeah, what are you doing otherwise? You're just gonna be like scrolling your phone, be like, oh my god, did Bruce Brown get moved? Did Bruce Brown get moved? Like,
yeah. Most of you probably work remotely too.
Work remotely from the restaurant, man.
Work from courtside, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
so there you go. Yeah, I'm excited. It's a couple more days until the trade deadline. I mean, I don't even mind, man. I mean, you want to just chat every day at noon just to see what's going on?
Yeah, sure.
That ain't a yes.
These are questions you should ask me off air. No, actually, I'm down. I mean, I know
tuning in.
I'm gonna need you to cook up some Raptors fake trades, some Raptors topics.
Yeah.
Like your Raptors toe pitch for this week. Your Mr. Toe pitch for this week. Yeah, no, I think it's chill. Yeah, we can go live, chat about this stuff, but we need more. We need more from Jake Fisher. We need more from Mike Scotto.
We could just call Jake. I mean, Jake's very busy right now, to be clear. To be very clear.
Trade deadline week is like impossible.
It's actually impossible to get anybody.
Yeah.
At this time.
But yeah, live every day. And breaking. Per Jake Fisher. Are you ready for this?
No.
Might have to start a new pod.
Wait.
The Milwaukee Bucks are interested in Kyle Kuzma.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, sorry.
Is this a Kyle Kuzma for Bobby Portis style situation?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Bobby Portis going back to the Wizards, man. Nobody should have to do two stints with the Wizards.
A really
man.
old, overpriced car and just trying to fill in a couple parts here.
For real though, the Bucks are legit. That broken down house with the Ferrari, but there's two Ferraris. There's a Ferrari and a Lambo. There's a Giannis and Dame.
Breaking.
Oh my god.
Breaking. De'Aaron Fox is gonna wear number 2 for the Spurs. Last worn by Kawhi Leonard. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I guess the Spurs, based on the way Kawhi left, were never going to retire his jersey.
Sure.
Because they're not like Toronto with Vince, but
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the 1-2. You know what I mean? Victor to Fox, the 1-2 combination. Can't you hear it already from Mark Jones? He'd be like, 1
Oh my
to
god.
2.
1-2, 1-2,
Butter.
1-2, 1-2. Oh, damn.
2 expressing himself with a pass to 1. They should have the thing 1, thing 2 thing going on
Oh
right
my
now.
god, don't give them any ideas, man. I already hate Area 51.
Oh yeah, yeah. Got Area
Which is
51.
what is it? Wemby and Castle?
Yeah, yeah. What about
Yeah,
1 and 2,
like,
man? Yeah,
all
21.
these
Can you do something for me?
all these alien jokes with Wemby. His new shoe is boring. Yeah, I'm a big Spurs hater. They just do things so well, man. It's not right.
No, you're right. I totally agree. We should hate on the whoever is like the valedictorian in your class. Like we should hate on him. Like we shouldn't celebrate this valedictorian. We
All
should
right,
actually hate on that person.
Jerome's got a video for us that we're gonna watch right now.
Okay, yeah. Just chill, man.
What's up, Laker fans? I'm in LA. Excited to meet you all.
Yo, who got more baby fat on their face, me or Luka, bro? I feel like it's tied.
Man. This reminds me of when
It's tied.
this is like the Lakers version of when Malachi Flynn and Jalen Harris said, "We the North, man." But instead, it's Luka Doncic, one of the best
understand.
players of all time.
You have unlimited access to Luka as a team employee who's doing team social. You could do content with him in a controlled setting because you have all the resources, you have studios to access, everything like that. Play that video again, like, cause like it's just bad production, man. Like you hear like the plane is like mad loud.
What's up, Laker fans? I'm in LA. Excited to meet you all.
Two words.
This
Like,
is what
come on,
people.
guys.
This is what people want, man. It's that real time footage. I think the private jet landing a new player is one of the go-to content moves now.
Why not shoot this on the PJ? Why is it in the dark when he's outside? Did he
Because
not have a phone on the
Maxi
PJ?
Kleber was taking a nap, bro.
He's on that PJ Washington. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Was he having beers on that plane?
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I'm just sorry. I'm just scarring for more breaking news.
Yeah, this is Kyle Kuzma to the Bucks. I mean, here's the thing with Kyle Kuzma. It's
I got nothing to say about Kuzma to the Bucks.
I very much like he looks like a clown every time I watch the Wizards, man. I'm sorry, like
Yo, that's a former NBA champion, man.
that doesn't matter, man. He averages the most air balls per capita. Like him and Jordan Poole. Like if you're sitting like first row behind the basket on either baseline for the Washington Wizards, first off, you're paying probably $20 for those seats.
Yeah,
But that's like the splash zone. Like when you used to sit like courtside at Marineland, which I think has been shut down for good reason. Actually, it's not a great place.
Breaking.
Oh my god.
Shams is on Pat McAfee's show.
Okay.
And reporting that the Warriors have reached out to the Sixers about Paul George. So you will remember the Warriors did try to get Paul George this offseason before he signed with the Sixers. I know Daryl Morey jumping with joy right now.
So it's just like a get out of free jail card?
The Warriors seem very desperate to want to make a move.
Yeah.
So the Rob Pelinka peace sign is killing me. Yo, Jerome, I don't know. Can you throw like 10 of those up? I want it just like all across the board.
No, the funniest thing about Rob Pelinka is just this guy's lived the most charmed life possible, man. Being Kobe's agent made like the whole world possible for him.
No, being Kobe's agent, he meets Nico Harrison through the Nike connections.
Yeah.
Is able to build such a strong relationship that when Nico was driven to the point of wanting to trade Luka, he only hits you up.
Mm-hmm.
And the wildest thing is this is all because of cryptocurrency. Yeah. Because Mark Cuban lost a lot of money in crypto. And that's the main reason why he had to sell the team. And the domino effect is now Luka is playing at crypto. Like,
wow.
Open your ninth eye, guys.
Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah. So anyways.
How come all these guys who are billed as like we're geniuses in making, we are geniuses because we've made it rich, then all of a sudden look like complete idiots with their money?
Yeah, there's people with money aren't that smart.
If I were Mark Cuban and I got rich and I got to own the Dallas Mavericks, I would just be happy doing that. Like I would actually probably just retire, just have my money, you know. I'm sure it accrues value over time, like all money does.
But that's how Mark got in the first place. Like he really took advantage of like the knockoff.
Yo. Yo, it's freaking me out, man. Holy.
Yo, why is he flicking up like that with Luca, man?
Yo.
That photo's so good, man.
His hand looks mad big too in this photo. Looks like he can palm a basketball no problem. I guess he did play ball, right? Like, didn't he go to? Yeah, he played at UCLA, right?
I think he played at Michigan. I want to say
Michigan.
Yeah, he was a hooper.
He was a hooper. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yo, this
he was Michigan. Point guard.
This guy's legacy is gonna be like, as a Laker GM, like he got LeBron, he got AD, he got Luca. Like, you know how.
And meanwhile, everyone still says he's a terrible GM, which he kind of
Right.
is not great in terms of like the other stuff. But the main broad strokes, like Rob Pelinka fails every quiz, but when he shows up to like the final exam, the guy just waltzes out with like a 95, no problem.
This is classic failing upwards, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
Good
All
for
right.
him, though.
I think we're done unless there's any more breaking news.
No, man. Kyle Kuzma broke me, bro.
My bad.
I'm just like, no. I mean, look, if Kyle Kuzma is willing to play basketball properly, then sure, maybe he could be a good player. But
yeah,
he hasn't played the most unserious basketball in the last 2 years, and that doesn't. Though, if he plays like the way he currently plays, there's no team in the world that he helps that is in the NBA at least.
Yeah, no, that's that's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is fun. We'll try to go live more often, but we will certainly be live on trade deadline day itself. Anything breaking news happens with the Raptors, we'll try to get together and break it all down. But again, it's, that's how they got to operate. They got to use some of their flexibility to try to look at teams that are more stuck and just try to grease the wheels and get a couple picks that way. Because unlike the Lakers, we can't just magically spawn Luka. We're going to have to sort of like roll it up a little bit by bit. And we'll see what the front office is doing. I'm sure they're very busy. But for now, we're going to end the pod here. For myself, Will, for Alex Wong, for producer Jerome Chang, get well soon. This has been the Home Welcome Podcast presented by Betway. Jerome, send me a bunch of Rob Pelinkas to go.
What's up, Laker fans? I'm in LA. Excited to meet you all.